Hello, welcome all to my channel English Literature Simplified for Competitive Exams. This channel aims to help the aspirants who are preparing for competitive exams. Today, we will cover a very famous American poet, transcendentalist, philosopher, lecturer, and an essayist, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Please watch the full video for a better understanding and complete information. Also note that this video will be available in Hindi for our Hindi viewers. Thank you. Let's get started. Ralph Waldo Emerson was born on May 25, 1803 and died on April 27, 1882. He was born in Boston to William Emerson and Ruth Huskins Emerson. Emerson was named after his mother's brother Ralph and his father's great-grandmother Rebecca Waldo. Emerson's father, Reverend William Emerson, worked as a Unitarian minister. In 1811, at a small age of 8, Ralph Waldo Emerson lost his father, who died of either stomach cancer or tuberculosis. After his father's death, Emerson's mother, Ruth, and his aunts raised him and his siblings. His aunt, Mary Moody Emerson, had a profound effect on Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was an American transcendentalist poet, philosopher, lecturer, and essayist of the 19th century United States. Emerson was a leader in the transcendentalism movement in America. He was also known as the father of the transcendentalist movement, which emphasized self-reliance and the inner good of man. Emerson was also referred to as the Sage of Concord. In 1812, at the age of 9, his formal schooling began at the Boston Public Latin School. In 1817, at the age of 14, he went to Harvard College and learned Latin, Greek, geometry, physics, history, and philosophy. In 1820, he began the first journal entitled The Wide World. In 1821, at the age of 18, Emerson delivered a poem on Harvard's class day, then called Valedictorian Day, and became the class poet. In 1821, in the same year, after graduating from Harvard, helped his elder brother William ran a school for young ladies in Boston. In 1825, Emerson enrolled at Harvard Divinity School. In 1826, due to tuberculosis, joint pain, and vision problems, following the medical advice, Emerson went to St. Augustine, Florida. During this visit, he met and befriended the nephew of the former French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte, Prince Achille Murat. In 1826, Emerson became licensed to preach at a Unitarian church in Boston. In 1828, he inducted into Pi Beta Kappa. In 1829, at the age of 26, Emerson married 18-year-old Ellen Louisa Tucker. In 1831, Ellen Louisa Tucker died because of tuberculosis, which eventually led to Emerson's doubt in religion. In 1832, he mentioned in a journal, "I visited Ellen's tomb and opened the coffin." In the same year, he left the Unitarian Church and toured for Europe. In 1833, during his visit to England, he met literary figures like Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, J.S. Mill, and Thomas Carlyle, who profoundly influenced Emerson's philosophy. In the same year, he returned to Boston and began his career as a lecturer. In 1834, he moved to Concord, Massachusetts, his first permanent home. And in 1835, Emerson married his second wife, Lydia Jackson, whom he fondly referred to as Mine Asia. The couple had 4 children, Waldo, Ellen, Edith, and Edward. He named his first daughter, Ellen Tucker, after his first wife, Ellen Louisa Tucker. In 1836, he established the Transcendental Club, or the Hedge Club. From Concord, Emerson began preaching throughout New England and joined Symposium, or Hedges Club, a literary society. This literary society later transformed into the Transcendental Club, which talked about the reform of Christianity, the philosophy of Immanuel Kant, the writings of Goethe and Carlyle. Because of his preaching and writings, Emerson came to be known as the Sage of Concord. Famous members of the Transcendental Clubs were Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, and Margaret Fuller. In 1837, on the invitation by Harvard Divinity School, he delivered an address originally titled An Oration Delivered Before the Phi Beta Kappa Society at Cambridge. The speech is now referred to as the American Scholar. Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. called the speech America's intellectual declaration of independence. In 1837 again, Emerson befriended Henry David Thoreau. He had a profound influence on Henry David Thoreau and gave the eulogy at Thoreau's funeral in 1862. In 1838, Emerson delivered a commencement speech to graduating students of the Harvard Divinity School, which came to be known as the Divinity School Address. In 1840, Emerson published The Dial, first edited by Margaret Fuller and later by himself, promoting transcendentalism. In 1842, Emerson's first son, Waldo, died of scarlet fever at the age of 5. He expressed his grief in the poem Threnody, for thus losing is true dying. In 1842, William James was born and Emerson agreed to be his godfather. In 1862, Emerson delivered an anti-slavery lecture in Washington, D.C. He was disappointed that President Lincoln did not do much to end slavery. But his meeting with President Lincoln in the White House changed his views, saying that the president impressed me more favorably than I had hoped. Emerson criticized Jane Austen's novels and her characters for focusing only on marriage in Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion. He mentioned, I am at a loss to understand why people hold Miss Austen's novels at so high a rate, which seem to me vulgar in tone, sterile in artistic invention, imprisoned in their wretched conventions of English society, without genius, wit, or knowledge of the world. Never was life so pinched and narrow. All that interests in every character is this: has he or she the money to marry with? Suicide is more respectable. In 1882, Emerson died of pneumonia. He was buried on Arthur's Ridge in Concord's Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, along with his disciple Henry David Thoreau. Now we will discuss some of his eminent works. Nature, published in 1836, The American Scholar in 1837, Divinity School Address in 1838, and in the same year, Literary Ethics was also published. The Method of Nature, 1841, Man the Reformer, again 1841. Introductory Lecture on the Times, 1841, The Conservative in 1841, The Transcendentalist in 1843, The Young American in 1844, Lecture on the Anniversary of the Emancipation of the Negroes in the British West Indies. In 1841, he published his essays, first series containing 12 essays concerning transcendentalism. They are History, Self-Reliance, Compensation, Spiritual Laws, Love, Friendship, Prudence, Heroism, the Oversoul, Circles, Intellect, Art. In 1844, he published Essays, second series, containing 9 essays concerning transcendentalism. They are The Poet, Experience, Character, Manners, Gifts, Nature, Politics, Nominalist and Realist, New England Reformers. In 1850 came Representative Men 7 lectures, which contains the biographies of Plato, Swedenborg, Montaigne, Shakespeare, Napoleon, Goethe. Essays under representative men, 7 lectures are Uses of Great Men, Plato or the Philosopher, Swedenborg or the Mystic, Montaigne or the Skeptic, Shakespeare or the Poet, Napoleon or the Man of the World, Goethe or the Writer. Some more eminent works of Ralph Waldo Emerson's are English Traits in 1856, Society and Solitude in 1870, Letters and Social Aims in 1875. In 1860 came The Conduct of Life, containing 9 essays. They are Fate, Power, Wealth, Culture, Behavior, Worship, Considerations by the Way, Beauty, Illusions. Some lectures, biographical sketches, and uncollected prose by Ralph Waldo Emerson. They are Essays from the Dial, Thoughts on Art, Woman Lecture, The Naturalist, 1834, Nature, 1850, The Sovereignty of Ethics. History Notes of Life and Letters in England, Education, Government of Children, Trow, Eulogy, Mary Moody Emerson, The Lord's Supper. Dial Essays in 1840, 1841, 1842, 1843 and 1844. Some famous poems by Ralph Waldo Emerson: Concord Hymn, The Rhodora, Brahma, Uriel. Some famous letters: Letter to Martin Van Buren, The Correspondence of Thomas Carlyle and Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1834 to 72. Notable quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson: Let me admonish you, first of all, to go alone, to refuse the good models, even those which are sacred in the imagination of men, and dare to love God without mediator or veil. With this, we have come to an end. I hope you like the keynotes on Ralph Waldo Emerson. In case you have any comments, please feel free to leave it here so that we can get back to you. And if you have liked the video, please make sure you like and subscribe the channel. All the best for your competitive exams. Thank you.